Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another YouTube video. I'm your host, National888, and today we are taking a look at our small sub-fief base once again. We'll call this version 3. We made some small changes, and I wanted to showcase those. We'll also be doing a step-by-step guide in this video on how to build this type of base for yourself. If you're interested, you can skip ahead to that for the step-by-step guide, but for now, let's take a quick look at the current version of the base. So you can see we're still using the same amount of power, 5250, I believe was in our last video, but we are actually using a lot less than that. I've turned off a lot of my generators and a lot of my refineries and fabricators. I just don't spend a lot of time here in Haga Basin anymore. Most of my time is spent in the deep desert, so see the point in running all this power all the time, spending all the fuel. There's really no need, so I shut a lot of the stuff off. But aside from that, we are using all of our storage now for the most part. We're using, we have 1.8 million water storage, which is great. We could actually have either a lot more water storage or a lot more, item storage if we wanted to. Delete some of the medium water cisterns, which I'll showcase. You'll see outside my base. And then inside the base, there's been some redesigns as well. We have not too much new down here on this level. This is pretty much all the same. However, we do have another pentashield on this side. So now the buggy can come in from either side. Makes it a little bit easier to come in and out of here. Very nice. We've also opened up a lot of space here. You can see I've decided that it's really nice to have a lot of vertical space here. If I want to sugar wire up to any of these levels really easily now, it's very simple. I can just do that. Plenty of space. I'm not going to bump into any of my floor tiles here. You can see I did take a little bit of advantage of that ability to place items and then delete the objects underneath them that I was showcasing in the last video. You can see this recycler is hanging off the ledge a little bit. These storage bins here are hanging off a bit as well. We do have some floor tiles here just to allow me to step onto this easier. I don't really need this one. We could remove it, but it's kind of nice here now that I have this opened up a little bit. You can see if I want to sugar wire up to the top level, I can from here. It's pretty easy. We can go in from that side as well. There's just a lot more space opened up here, more storage boxes, personal storage, and we have a little tiny water cistern, which is kind of nice just to, fill your water bottles up. You don't need a big one or anything. You can fit a small one in here that just doesn't take up a lot of space. Once again, there's still the space here for another scout or whatever type of ornithopter you want here. I just don't have it active right now. More storage outside the base, more, large water cisterns out there. Up top here, you can see we've moved to a pentashield for this access point, which makes it a lot easier to get up and down. We have more room here. You could make this even bigger if you wanted to. For me, this was sufficient though. You don't want to have it too big because your carrier might start having issues. I also didn't want it to block the back there because sometimes I drop the buggy up top here. And up top here as well, we've got more pentashields. We'll do an outside the base tour in a sec. You'll be able to see everything. But the way that I ended up solving this problem over here with the wind trap was instead of removing all these tiles, I put those back, and then I just put a little pentashield here to open this up so that this wind trap here is now functional. That just makes it I think it looks a little better, even though I would probably prefer not to have this here at all. This just seemed like the best way to do it. But you can see all the top roof tiles are complete now. Lots of friends can come and land on my roof if they want to drop stuff off, pick stuff up, whatever they need to do. We have added a pentashield on this side as well, even though unfortunately the pentashield glitch doesn't work anymore. I would have loved to, of course, have a full pentashield box on top here. We can no longer do that. One thing you can do, you can't do it on my base, but you can do is you can build these columns in the corner, the corner columns, and you can use those to connect to your pentashield, which I've discovered recently. It won't work in my base because let's take a look here. Corner column, yeah. The problem is that's outside the land claim, right? We're right up against the edge of the land claim, so you can't do that, unfortunately, in my small base here, but just something to think about if you're building a larger base. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's take a little tour around the outside of the base to see all the things that we have. Lots of pentashields, obviously, as you can see. On the back side here, we're still using the wind turbines. We haven't switched to spice power yet. I don't know if we will. These seem to be working pretty well. They're all functional. Many of them are turned off right now, but they're all functional. We still have a lot of medium, as I was saying, medium water cisterns. We could definitely upgrade those to large if we wanted to. We'd have to do some probably redesigning of the outside base here because obviously the large water wouldn't fit on this small little rack here. But it's definitely possible if you wanted to. And yeah, you can see there's even some water up here on the back side of these storage bins. But we've got pretty good base going here. So now let's get into the step-by-step guide on how to do this. So step one is going to be deciding on a location to build your base. You can see my base right here. It's in the eastern shield wall, right in the sand up here. This is a great location. I highly recommend if you're going to do this, anywhere in this area, kind of up here, is great. You have aluminum, obviously, is close. All the aluminum is up here. There's bases for bodies up here, little camps. There's, most importantly, I would say the exit to the world map is up here. And when you come back into from the north side of the world map, when you spawn back in, you'll spawn like somewhere up in here, which is perfect. You're just like, a short skip to your base. So maybe up here would be the most optimal spot. You really need to make sure, though, however, that you find a location that's flat. And we'll talk about that in a second. But the other things you get up here besides the aluminum, of course, you got easy access to the rift. If you just want to ride your buggy down in here, you can do that. Like I mentioned before, access to the world map, not just to get to the deep desert, even though that's obviously the most important one. You can just fly here if you need to go, down into Sheol. If you want to look for spice here, if you want to farm things here, if you want to, get your jasmium, you can just go to the world map from there and across. Unless you're going to bring your buggy in a carrier, then you're just going to fly direct, which is fine too. But it's the only disadvantage, is you're a little bit far from there. With the carrier and the buggy, you can enter the world map on the east side, and you can get to your quartermaster if you're a Conan like I am, which is pretty quick and easy. If you're Atreides, I believe this is the city that you'll need access to, so you're already here, you're close. This is just an optimal spot. You'll see a lot of bases around here. My base, we'll go take a look now. You can see all the other players who've just also decided that this is definitely the best spot. I'm on a low populated siege, and even despite that, there's tons of bases up here because this is just an optimal spot, right? So what we want to do now is, now that we've decided on once you've decided on a location, step two is going to be finding a very flat area to build your base. So you can see that the sand is a bit slanted over here. The main thing we need is all of our foundations are going to have to fit on one level. We won't have space to build, like foundations up above or below our bottom layer. We also need to have access so the buggy can, drive in and out without hitting any bumps, without using any ramps. So we really need a flat location. So you can see here around my base, this is why I've chosen this spot. There's other flat areas such as right here. Maybe this is where we'll do the test and see. Once you found a flat location, just plop your Sub-fief down. Should be good to go. It doesn't matter where you place it initially, but more importantly, we just need to test if we can build foundations in a flat area, starting in the corner here. Now we're going to test to make sure that we can build all the way across. Like I said, it doesn't matter where your Sub-fief is initially, so even though I didn't place it perfectly in the corner here, that's going to be fine. We can relocate it later. See, this is a little bit off too. Now, what we want to make sure we do here is build upwards, right? Let's move this out of the way. We're just going to build 2 foundation levels above. And in fact, this time I'm going to test something I wanted to try before, which is we're going to build a half wall above. I don't think this is going to work, but I just want to make sure. Sub-fief, move it up here. Demolish this. So you can see here, these bottom foundations are not in range. We've gone 2.5 walls up, and I can't repair. You just switch to the repair option, and you can see that none of these are technically in range. So what we need to do is actually build this a little bit lower here. Now when we go to repair, you can see that they're all within range. Step 2, we need to place our Sub-fief in the exact position that it needs to be in. So that's going to take a little bit of practice and a little bit of quite a few attempts here typically. Let's demolish it, rebuild. We're trying to get this right in the corner. So we're using our bottom. If you look at the top left, kind of top left side of my screen there, you see I'm trying to place this Sub-fief right so that it's right in the corner here. We want it to be just inside. But I can already see that I didn't place it optimally right. Like there's too much space here. It's not going to work now. I want to be able to build a triangle foundation in that corner. You can see that we cannot. So we're going to need to move it back this way a little bit. So let's go ahead, demolish again. We are still in range. It's pretty good there. That looks a little better. Let's see if we're close enough. Probably not. But it's possible. See, now we can do the triangles here, which is good. But we cannot do the triangles on this side. So we're going to need to fix that. We can also see that in this case, I probably placed the initial foundation a little bit lower. And so some sand is creeping up. And that could be a problem if we're going to try to place, you know, a large ore refinery here. This might not work. We'll try it out and see, but this is the reason why you need it to be on a very flat and level surface. So let's go ahead and demolish our, try to see where our Sub-fief is right now. We need to move it slightly to the right. It's kind of hard to see. Sometimes you can be, you know, a little bit off here. Let's try right here. So now we can do the triangle on this side. Let's test on this side as well. Yep, so now we're good. We tried a few times there. It wasn't too difficult, but we fully placed the foundation level. And now we can place the rest. Corner here, of course, we want the corner piece I mentioned, the curved edge. We have a problem. Our first problem here we didn't test when we placed our Sub-fief is that our Sub-fief is actually a little bit too far to the side. So even though we were able to place all the foundations, we can't actually build our walls. So we're gonna have to readjust this slightly. You can see the corner of this foundation, even though we were able to build all the floor tiles, it's just a little bit too far in on both sides. We cannot actually place our walls. So we're gonna need to delete our Sub-fief and try that again. As you can see here, it's kind of hard to do this in bright daylight. It's a lot harder to see the edge of where the Sub-fief is gonna be. So we might wanna wait until, you know, it gets a little bit towards dusk. When there's shadows, it's a little bit easier to kind of spot where exactly we want to place. Or you could try adjusting your graphics settings. So you can see now the sun has moved a bit and there's some shadow here, so it's going to be a little bit easier to figure out about where we need to place this. It's going to take a little bit of testing. Do this, of course. Oops. Looks like we did it. Almost on accident there. Okay. Amazing. All right, so step 3, once we've determined that our Sub-fief is in the exact right location, we can do this by making sure we can build the triangles and corner pieces here. Also make sure that we can build our walls. Once that's in the perfect spot, we want to basically build the skeleton of our entire base, right? So we're just going to build the walls all around the sides of our base. Of course, we're not going to build on the, like I mentioned, we can't build on the triangles, so we're going to just build right here. We just want a nice wall all the way around our base, all the way up, making sure that we can build as high as we need to as well. And that should, of course, be done automatically if we built our Sub-fief 2 floors up from the base foundation. Again, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full tiles wide, 5.5 if you count the triangles. The same this direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus the triangles, 5.5. And upwards if you include the bottom foundation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 tall. Once you've placed your Sub-fief, you can move it to wherever you want, out of the way. Step 4, once you've completed most of the skeleton of the base, I haven't done it all because, you know, I'm not going to bother rebuilding my entire base again just to show you guys. But once we have all the walls around the outside at the least, we can start placing our structures our very large structures that we want to build, you know, in the middle on the bottom floor, including our spice refinery, our large ore refinery are going to be the big ones. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we're going to turn it this way. We're going to try to just get it as far into the corner as we can. We're not actually building the refinery itself. We're just putting down a blueprint so that we can see where it's going to fit. One thing you don't want to do before you do this is build like your interior floors and roofs. You just want to build the exterior walls, nothing more. Go. So those three I would say are the most important, to just get the blueprints down to see if it all will work the way you want it to. And then from there, if you want to place the smaller pieces, you can. We can also get our desk stills here to make sure you have the right tiles. Make sure that you build half walls all the way up, not full walls, because we're going to want to be utilizing these walls in different ways to build, you know, floors off of different walls in certain situations. So we want to build the exterior of the base completely with half walls if we can. That will make it much easier to do what we want to. Under comb facility, you're going to find your observer floor if you have it, and that will go right here. Now, like I mentioned before, you're going to need to build for these particular items, but the desk stills, you're going to want to build everything on top, such as storage, and then your desk stills are going to be placed below, and then finally your desk stills on the floor level will go there, because there seems to be a bug when you place objects. After you finish the bottom level, you can start adding on these floor tiles in the middle, and you can build up. And however you want to set up your base, guys, it's this part here is going to be completely up to you if you want to copy me exactly, or if you want to do it in your own particular way. You can set it up however you want to. But just, you know, keep in mind that, you know, you have limited space. Your carrier is probably going to go on top, and then your copters are going to go below that, and you're going to fit any storage where you can around the edges. That's pretty much the template I would recommend. But from here, it should be pretty straightforward. I don't think you guys should have any trouble figuring it out. Of course, if you don't have the comb facility, like I mentioned here, you can you know, find a different way to do your desk stills, you know, just using a single tile here instead of dividing them into two half tiles. You could have 3 here and, you know, 3 fully above that, or you could have 3 here, maybe 3 over here, something like that. But everything else is completely optional, and depending on your own preference, just do it how you want to do it, right? So that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.